while Trump is drinking and stinking. Speaking of stinking, I was going to say, not you guys, chat room, but can I just say, for the record, that J.D. Vance is singularly one of the weakest, dweebiest, most wussified goobers I have ever seen in politics. And we've seen some people, man. We've seen some people like avoiding questions and running from stuff and being evasive and blah, blah, blah. But I gotta say, it is shocking to me what a douche nozzle this guy is, and at the same time being completely and utterly, and I mean this without equivocation and directly, not metaphorically, specifically, weak. He is a weak person. He is a wuss. And his only pushback, I think, could possibly be, I'm not a weakling. I'm not a wuss. Donald Trump makes me do my press conferences with a bunch of maggots behind me, standing guard to make sure I don't say the wrong thing or answer the wrong question or answer the right question the wrong way or the wrong question the right way, which is actually probably the biggest problem that he has, whatever. This is so fucking lame. I don't think it can be overstated. And I don't know why the news hasn't paid more attention to this, but I don't want to hear shit about fucking Kamala Harris going on The View with a live audience or doing an interview on 60 Minutes that they didn't like, which was very pushy, and it was a really solid interview, or going on fucking Howard Stern or any of that shit. If this asshole can't do a press conference or take questions from people without the fucking boo chorus backup, because you'll watch, anytime anybody asks him a question, it's almost like there was a meeting. It was like the Trump team had a meeting and went, okay, not only is JD weird and a potential couch fucker, but he's also kind of stupid in that after all the shit he said about Donald Trump, which he truly believed at the time, he has come around because this is his shot at being VP, and he's just going to put it all aside and pretend he doesn't believe it anymore. And anybody that thinks people will truly buy that shit is an idiot. And Trump does not trust him. Trump thinks, if you're once for defunding the police, you're always for defunding the police. Politicians will always tell you who they really are and what they're really going to do and what they're really going to say. And this asshole called Donald Trump America's Nazi. And so in Trump's world, that means he will always and forever believe that Trump could be America's Nazi, or America's Hitler, rather. Did I say America's Nazi the first time too? America's Hitler. You get my point. Anyways. So Trump doesn't trust this asshole, and rightly so, because he's stupid. He's very stupid. He's actually stupid. And again, this is not dumb. Don't get confused. Dumb is you don't know better. Stupid is you know better, but you do it anyways. He's stupid. He's a stupid man. J.D. Vance is stupid and weak. Just to clarify. Stupid and weak. And obviously ethically and morally abhorrent. Let's go with that too, because he thought his running mate is the guy he thought could be America's Hitler, and there's been no material change between then and now. And his excuse that I believe what the media made me believe it. Oh, I believed what the media said, and that's why I believed it. All right, well, guess what, asshole? You don't get points for hearing what the media was saying about Donald Trump and going from that to America's Hitler. You are the connecting point. Your thought process is this to America's Hitler. Do you see how you're culpable in this equation? You're the dough-headed fuck who jumps to horrifyingly violent conclusions, apparently. So, all right, you get me. Anyways, according to The Blaze, though, J.D. Vance gives a masterclass in dealing with the liberal media during Q&A with woke reporters. Now, by woke, I think they mean that there's like a couple of kids from like colleges there, something like that. The guy who dresses at a wall, apparently there was no Trump rally that day, so he shows up at Vance's things dressed as a wall. Or it's like Gallagher too. He's got a secondary dude. Anybody's guess. Because nobody cares. Could we figure it out? Yes. Do we want to bother? No. Okay, so let's hear the masterclass. Now this is a half hour long. It's far too long. But we'll get the general idea in a little bit.
Let me take a few questions from reporters. I'll answer them, and then we'll have to hit the road. But we got a microphone. We're passing around over there. Yeah, go ahead.
By the way, this guy is fucking magic. If you want to know her, I think that's the guy from the church in 28 Days Later. Hello? All right. Anyways, this dude is, let me tell you something. This dude is exactly why Donald Trump hates his crowd. Donald Trump wants to look out at a crowd as CNN videotapes him full of millionaires and hot chicks basking in the glow of his every word. Right? This is what he wants. In his dream of dreams, CNN and all the classic media that he always derides can't wait to interview him and ask him, what's your secret? Men want to be you and women want to be underneath you. What's this? Right? This is what he actually wants to have happen. But this is what he gets. He gets 3 front rows of these motherfuckers everywhere he goes. Right? It's one of the reasons he started pointing out the Trumpettes, the rich Karens that travel with him. They're always off to the left that he mentions. It's Vigo. You are like the buzzing of flies to him. No pictures, please. Slides available in the gift shop. He always brings up the Trumpettes because as aging trophy wives go, they're reasonable to look at. He's not interested because they're all kind of like 2 tiers below Melania, and she, makes his dick shrivel with fear anyway. So, but they're at least remotely attractive from a conventional sense, even though they, again, all have that like puffed up, like shellfish allergy complexion and just way too much filler. But that's his thing, so he doesn't give a shit. So they're always over here. This is why he looks over there all the time and why he keeps bringing them up. Because if he has to look at the crowd, it's rows of these motherfuckers. They all look like Ted Nugent after he slept in his truck. That, like, all of them. And it's fucking depressing for him. Now, most people don't care. That dude, if I did a comedy show and that guy was sitting in the audience amongst a bunch of other people, whatever, I'd be like, all right, yeah, cool. I'm telling jokes. Jokes are for everybody. This is fine. But if I was like, tonight's the night, if I was like a pickup artist giving a lecture on like how to meet ladies and I stared out at the audience and this was my customer base, I'd be like, fuck, right? And that's exactly how Trump looks at these folks. I just want to make that point. The other thing too is Vance is such a pussy in this situation. I'm shocked Trump isn't trying to grab him. Because this whole like, let me take some questions from the press here. How about you walk off stage and take questions from the press away from the crowd? Oh, because you can't. Because you're either not allowed or you're scared shitless to.
Great. This is Claire Anderson. I'm with the Detroit Free Press. We're in the city of Detroit today, where we learned in a recent Jack Smith.
Listen to this. They're booing Detroit and Detroit Free Press. They just like, see what I mean? Like, why do you need fucking backup, you absolute wuss?
Filing that the Trump.
Oh, yeah, it is the regular fucking maggot wall guy. I recognize his doofy face.
Campaign aide in 2020 allegedly urged supporters to riot at the ballot counting center. So I want to make sure that the senator can hear my question, which is, would you discourage the campaign from engaging in that behavior and from Trump supporters and engaging in a chaotic scene?
Now, who thinks he's going to say something that, I don't know, totally pretends that January 6th never happened? What do you think the odds are?
So let me answer that question a few different ways. So first of all, of course we discourage rioting. We do not riot. Nobody in this room and nobody in this movement is going to riot.
Yeah. Uh-huh. Again, there's only like 70,000 hours of Facebook videos. Like, I just pissed on a cop. He's unconscious. We tased him near to death. I stomped on another dude or whatever. We about to go in there and shoot Nancy Pelosi in her dome. Woo-hoo! We don't riot. Nobody has ever. This is not a riot. By the way, very few people in this situation are physically capable of rioting. There's a couple in there. There's definitely a few that would try. But I mean, again, was January 6th an insurrection? No, it was not. It was a failed insurrection. And I think that's an important distinction that I will continue to make.
Second of all, your question is about a Trump campaign staffer. And I'll tell you that if you get 1,000 people together, and the Trump campaign probably has a lot more than 1,000 campaign staffers, you're going to find...
I don't know. First of all, the fact that you have to say the word probably about the word 1,000 in terms of campaign staffers is really telling. Secondly, fuck you.
Find somebody who's willing to say anything, especially in a league.
Really? Of course they will. Yeah, because, yes, I agree. If you get 1,000 campaign staffers or more, if they exist, who knows, from the Trump campaign, and you get them all together, and then you ask around, one of them's going to say Mein Kampf is their favorite book. Maybe a couple of them will say that child porn should be legal. It's because people, it's a big group. And you can probably find somebody who will say anything. Maybe you guys should tighten up your hiring and your volunteer system, dummy, and your staffing.
A leaked message or a private communication. The idea that the...
hey, asshole. A leaked message or a private communication. First of all, you can't leak a lie. Let me say that again for the folks in the cheap seats who may be new to Hal Sparks Mega Worldwide, the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. Let me tell you right now, ladies and gentlemen, you can't leak a lie. A lie is just a lie. A leak has to be true, or it's just a lie. Do you understand how that works? Right? You can only leak details and communications, but you can't leak a lie. You're just lying. They didn't actually say that. They didn't actually write that down. That didn't actually happen. That's called a lie. If they show something where it did happen, or somebody did say it, or somebody did communicate it, not a lie. You understand how that works? You can't leak a lie.
The Trump campaign, either in 2020 or 2024, is encouraging people to riot is disgraceful. Of course, we're not doing that. And by the way,
asshole, she didn't say you in general. She said this person did in that area, in the town you're in right now. Could you tell them to not?
And by the way, these fine people are law-abiding citizens who work.
By the way, I'd like to say for the record that Thomas Crooks was a law-abiding citizen until he wasn't. All the people on January 6th, before they crossed the threshold and started beating cops, guess what, motherfucker? They were all law-abiding citizens until they weren't.
Work and pay their taxes. They're not going to riot no matter what anybody says to them.
Oh, so sorry, Ray Epps. Your whispers are no good here. They're not going to riot. They barely wanted to come here to this gymnasium.
And here's the final point. I think it's interesting that the media is so focused on a random message from a random staffer in 2020. If you want to talk about rioting, let's talk about...
Yeah, I don't know if you know this, but in 2020, shortly thereafter, there actually was... There was rioting. Lots of it.
About the summer riots of 2020 that killed 20 people that the media seems uninterested in.
You mean the riots that happened during Trump? That ended? That aren't... have they continued? Sorry, the Law and Order Party was in charge during that year? Is the idea that the 20 people that were killed, their killers have not been and will not be brought to justice? Because they have. Oh, what the fuck are you clapping about? Oh, I know what they're clapping about. These assholes, I'd like to say for the record, these assholes, either by willful ignorance or just being fucking dumb, they actually think that the people who burned down buildings and shot people or tried to kill people or beat people near to death during the riots in 2020, that no one was prosecuted. And not only was no one prosecuted and no one went to jail, but there was a moratorium on it. Like, you weren't even allowed. Just letting you know. That wasn't the case. Then and now, if you kill somebody, you're going to jail. If they catch you, if they can find you, fuck you. Yeah, it's gaslighting, but it's like he's got some of the weakest gas you'll ever hear.
Next question.
Also, anybody else notice he's picked up the Obama stammer? Next question. What we want to do here? That's what he's doing. He's what he's trying to do. One of the things you can do. This is a trick. If you're worried about what you're going to say will be cut and clipped and frankly taken out of context, you strategically you pause and you put language barriers in there that make clipping in this case impossible. See how that works? It's a good trick. He didn't, and I think he's clearly doing this. Maybe not because he's worried the news will clip what he's going to say, but because he's worried that people will clip what he's going to say and show it to Trump.
Hello, my name is Sasha Calvert.
What the hell? Stop. Hold on. We're not ending. Hold on. That's not, no. No, no, no. This is, my button got hit. The show should not, hold on. I have to interrupt the thing or my show will stop because the button got hit and I don't want it to drop. Oh, yes. Hold on, Biggs. I knocked that over. Hold on. There. Nope. Stop. Okay, as long as my lights don't go off, I'm okay. All right, good. Had to interrupt that. That's my thing fell over and hit my goodbye button, and that turns everything off. And I'm like, no. Okay, back to where we were. There we go. Back to this dummy.
I'm a reporter with the Michigan Daily. So the University of
Boo! Sorry,
Michigan, all campuses, has historically had some of the largest student voter turnout in the U.S. Why should students in Michigan cast their vote for the Trump-Vance ticket? And additionally, how will your administration support students, specifically concerning gun violence, where you have rejected calls for tougher gun laws and bans on bump stocks? Essentially, why should students concerned about their safety on campus vote for you?
Yeah, so the first.
See what I mean? This fucking boo! Like, why can't you answer this shit without crowd backup? Right? Okay. Let me tell you something about insulting people. One of the reasons you don't use racial or bigoted or sexist epithets, besides the fact that it is immoral and gross and lame and stupid and weak and unethical and immoral and all those reasons, and just wrong. The other reason you don't do it is because it does what I call it's what I call calling in an airstrike on your own position. You go from arguing with a person you're arguing with to an entire group of people, and you're just radioing in an airstrike on your own position. Okay, it's tactically stupid as well as morally reprehensible. The inverse of this is, if you're strong enough to stand on your own, you don't have to have backup. One of the other things is that people will do that's the inverse of that is what do you mean, you people, kind of responses to stuff, right? What you're like, are you saying that everybody in this that all conservatives are a problem? Like, no, I'm talking to you, asshole. And you go like, oh, so you think everybody who voted for Donald Trump is a racist now? Like, you know what I mean? Because what you're doing is you're just calling in an airstrike on their position. It's weak. Instead of fighting mano a mano in this particular instance. And that's exactly what this is. Like, he is, it's why it's so weak, and it's really aggravating.
Let's be honest here. I don't know if a Ohio State graduate is the best messenger to University of Michigan students. So I hope
he's an Ohio State graduate is the point he's trying to make.
In fact, thank you, sir. But, you know, maybe we should.
I love you guys.
Just get. We should get a clip of me saying something nice about Kamala Harris out to the University of Michigan, because then maybe they'd all vote for Donald J. Trump if you just told them I was a Buckeye. Like, I'm always a little nervous about injecting myself into the OSU-Michigan rivalry here, but I think that we all.
Oh my God, is that what this was? This was like, this was his roundabout way of trying to make it a sports analogy? Dude, she asked you about gun violence on campus. They're worried they're gonna die, you dumb motherfucker.
All kidding aside, look.
Yeah, all kidding aside. What were you saying? Some bullshit about people are worried they're gonna get shot in Detroit?
We all care about the country. And that's why I think every person in this room is going to help me make Donald J. Trump the next president of the United States. And it's in that spirit.
Jesus Christ. Have you ever heard like a dumber, more Bob Roberts answer? Yeah, thanks, man. Yeah. What's your answer? What's your message to the college campus of students in Detroit, which have the highest turnout in this area? Oh, are we not on Instagram? Did we drop off there for some reason? Oh, sorry. Yes. It didn't click through. Thank you. Oh, yeah, 4 clicks. Now it's on. Hi, Instagram. We're here now. For those of you just catching up on Instagram, we're discussing how weak and pathetic JD Vance is because he can't do a press conference without a bunch of maggots standing behind him, booing at every question. And in this question, you know, we'll look at this again. Look at the total answer again. He was asked how to, you know, why should kids on campus specifically in Detroit, who are worried about gun violence, vote for you when you won't ban bump stocks and you're totally against any regulation of guns. And he starts off with this whole bullshit about there's a rival between OSU and Michigan State, and I don't know if I should get in the middle because obviously Captain Sports over here.
Myself into the OSU Michigan rivalry here, but I think that we all kidding aside, look, we all care about the country. And that's why I think every person in this room is going to help me make Donald J. Trump the next president of the United States. And it's in that spirit that I want to answer this question.
Great. In that spirit. Not only does he have them boo people. Sorry, is it quiet? All right, I'll see if I can bring it up a little bit. Not only does he have them boo the question, but then he has to do this kind of like MAGA jingoism rah-rah. Thanks, Edward.
If I'm a young person in Michigan, here's one thing that Donald Trump and I want to do. First of all, we want to make it easier for you to build a life and to have a good career and to have a good job in your home, not to ship all the good jobs over to seas, but to build a...
Over to seas? Wait a minute. You're going to sink all these jobs in the ocean? Also, hey, asshole, the question was, how do I survive school? The rest of it, great to hear. I'm glad there'll be a job waiting for me in your fantasy world after I graduate if I don't die. Do you understand the fucking question, dum-dum?
Great middle class.
What do we do about car accidents and people dying in car accidents and stuff? Well, I want to make sure that when you do arrive at work, the water fountain has, is got good cold water. Everybody's like a cold drink of water, right? Of course, the Democrats will probably make that gay and communist next week.
Class economy right here in the United States of America. I think that's something that matters to a lot of Michigan students. I think the second thing that matters to Michigan students is I don't want young people in this country to be permanently indebted because we built an economy that turns American citizens into paupers in their own country.
What? Sorry. You're obviously not talking about student loan debt.
I want them to be able to own a home, build some wealth for themselves, and start a family right here in the state of Michigan.
And we're going to start by forgiving student debt so that they can know
and do it.
Do it. Yes. Yes. We want to make a future where college students can do it.
And do it because we've got smarter economic policies that are going to allow them to thrive. Michigan students, people who are, meaning at the University of Michigan and all across the state, because I know there's a...
I see. Yeah, there's a lot of students in Michigan. That's a good point. Yeah. This is student. There aren't just students. Now, my favorite part is I don't think they know whether to boo or applaud. They're like, boo. What the fuck is he saying? How do I, can somebody poke me when I'm supposed to boo and tickle me when I'm supposed to applaud? I have no idea what he's saying.
A lot of great universities in the state of Michigan. We are
never pass up an opportunity to kiss ass.
Turning an entire generation of American young people into folks who don't have enough money to own anything. That is...
We're turning an entire generation into folks that don't have enough money to own anything. what? First of all, one of the ways that happens, I think, is student loan debt. That students might be concerned about the student loan debt and the debt that they have, so that maybe they can't own something later because they owe this other. Are you? I haven't, man. All right. How do you dodge the initial question about guns and literally fall into a trap of catching yourself in the fact that you don't want to get rid of student loan debt or improve it or help students pay it off or create a fairer system for doing it? Like, how do you fuck up into a bigger fuck up?
It's a terribly destructive direction for this country to go in. Donald Trump and I want you to be able to own a slice of your own country, and we're going to pursue economic policies that make that possible. That's what we're going to fight for every single day. And on...
Are you ever going to answer the actual question? So, sorry, I'll answer the gun thing in a minute, but I really want to point out how I'm running with a guy who couldn't give two shits about student loan debt and will never do anything to make it better, except maybe discourage people to getting an education in the first place, or making sure our students, getting rid of the Department of Education so that everybody's too stupid to go to college. That's it. That's how we're going to save you from student loan debt. We're going to make sure that the next generation is too dumb to go to university so that they don't compete with legacy admissions.
And on the question about gun violence, what I have said is that 90%, upwards of 90% of the gun crime that's committed in this country is committed using an illegally obtained firearm. So my point is...
Right. Yeah. You know why? Because it's a repeat felons. Felons can't own a gun. They have a gun, so they bought it illegally. But it wasn't the gun sale that was illegal. They bought it through straw purchases at gun shows and at gun stores, something you guys don't want to fix at all. So fuck off. Secondly, she's specifically asking about the other 10%, the part where mass shootings occur that you'll always have to worry about. We're not talking about drug dealers shooting each other. We're not talking about, like the number of people who like carjack multiple cars with an empty gun over the course of a day or something like that. We're talking specifically about people who walk onto campuses and open fire on a bunch of people, and because they have bump stocks and 60 round magazines on their guns, no one can jump them and stop them from reloading until they've killed 20 to 30 people. That's the concern. And the answer from these assholes is just suck it up. You gotta just get over it. It's a fact of life. We're gonna have bump stocks. We're gonna have machine guns. We're gonna have 60 round magazines. And if you're downrange from when it happens, thoughts and prayers.
Making it unlawful to own that gun has not stopped 90% of these gun crimes.
First of all, it has lowered making it unlawful for felons to own guns, for example, has eliminated an unfathomable number of crimes. Let's just start with handguns. The fact that a felon can't just go buy another handgun as soon as they get out of fucking jail, and there's rules against that. How many of them have given up and not done it, or gone on and continued doing whatever the fuck they were doing to get rehabilitation or get a job or whatever? So there's an unknown number of crimes that are stopped just by the fact that a felon's not allowed to buy a gun. If that law wasn't there, they could walk right out of jail into a fucking gun shop and buy a handgun, not wait, and these guys don't want any kind of gun registry. They don't want background checks, any of that shit, okay? So of course they do, all the fucking time. And that's why he says 90% and not just with no number attached, right? That will always be true if you shrink the gun number down to 15. But the number of people who are dead will be incredibly low comparatively. You understand? All right. So, yes, it's unfathomable. It's 60, it's 20 fathoms below unfathomable. So, of course, gun laws have stopped crimes specifically and kept people from buying those illegal guns in the first place because it's illegal for them to own a gun, not that the gun is illegal. So 90% is not illegal there. That's why he says illegally obtained or illegally purchased, not illegal guns. Never mind ghost guns, guns that have had the serial number scratched off of them, shit like that, which is another part. Again, not what happens on most college campuses when there's a shooting. That's not their concern. And that's not when we do have deaths on college campuses. It's never because of those 90%. Does that make sense? Those 90% of gun violence deaths that happen, between people shooting at cops and getting shot, shooting at each other and getting shot, committing murder with those things, people who've got a domestic violence, there's a red flag law or something like that, so they go out of state and they buy one in a fucking red state where everybody should own a gun and they'll just hand it to you. Some wives just need beating. Here, try this thing. It ain't too heavy. That kind of shit. Besides that stuff, the 10% she's talking about are the shockingly large numbers in a very short period of time killed by people who are walking around with AR-15s with giant magazines and multiple rounds and wearing body armor with the intention of inflicting as much death and destruction as possible. Answer her question. You can't answer her question by answering a question she didn't bring up. Again, this is like the fucking school shit. We're like, what are you going to do about schools? We need more parental involvement. Great. Can you legislate anything about parental involvement? No. Then fuck off.
So what we've got to do is take some common sense security measures. And I think the best way...
Common sense security measures. Universities, stop wearing that short skirt of people just living their lives trying to get an education. It's too attractive to the guy with the AR-15.
To reduce gun crime in the United States of America. I think this is a statistical fact, is to lock up people who are committing violence against their fellow citizens.
Yeah. Agreed. Know what happens when they do that to the ones on that shoot up college campuses? It's too late. There's already 7, 10 dead people. We do that. All the school shooters that survive go to fucking jail. We're not letting any school shooters out ever again. Yeah, we got it. That part's handled. We're talking about how do you stop it before it starts? How do you maintain the Second Amendment while making sure that we minimize the number of chances that somebody who goes fucking bananas and shoots up a place can take out as many people as possible, because an AR-15, quite frankly, is an abortion rifle, and technically it's a pipe bomb you can point. That's what it's for. It's a shrapnel machine. It's the inverse of a fucking wood chipper. That's what it's for. It's an anti-personnel weapon. It's not a hunting rifle, and it's not for self-defense unless you're defending yourself against the military, the police, or other cartels. Fuck you.
That's the most important thing.
We're already doing that. Yeah, great. Cool. Thanks. Cool story, bro. We're already doing that. Name one school shooter or workplace shooter that got out and did it again. One. That's how stupid this answer is. That's how ridiculous and weak and foolish and what a waste of fucking time this is. Seriously, give me the name of one mass shooter that did another mass shooting. Right? If they're not dead, they're locked up. Do you think there might be common sense precautions we can take to minimize the chances that things like this happen in the first fucking place, because the rest of us would like to get on with our fucking lives without sitting in a fucking restaurant going, I wonder if this is the day some asshole disgruntled employee walks in and starts shooting the fucking place up and just kills 4 people because what the fuck? Because they could have red flagged him. He threatened people. We knew he did. He was making terroristic threats for weeks. There are no rules about doing it. He had, he was able to buy a, even in a situation where he wasn't allowed to buy a gun because he was a felon or something. They're not arresting the gun store owner or the person that did the straw purchase that sold it to him or loaned it to him. Loan my buddy who can't buy a gun the fucking like a gun just to borrow. Yeah, Vance believes in abortion in the 250th month. Right. Woo! Yes. Yay, let's lock them up. Yeah, we do, dummy. It's a shame you can't follow up in this situation.
And I'm going to butcher the statistics, so I don't want to give them exactly. But if you look, whether it's in Detroit or New York City, any of our major cities.
Yeah. Okay. This is lying via statistics. Again, asshole. This is okay. This is like answering the question with the majority of gun deaths. Majority of gun deaths are suicides. That's just true. Statistically speaking, more people who die from gun violence die because they shoot themselves. Now, should there be things we can do about that? Absolutely. Are they the same things you do to stop mass shootings? Not even fucking close. So if I'm asking you about mass shootings or how we limit them or how we protect ourselves against them or what rules we can put in place to protect ourselves and protect like kids and schools and all this stuff and these open targets for these fucking lunatics, and you go, well, most people shoot themselves. What's the fucking difference? What's the fucking difference between that answer and the answer he just gave?
And you look at the violence problem, it is always a very, very small number of people who commit the gross majority of violent crimes. So why don't we get back in this country, whether you're...
Right. So why would all the other people mind comprehensive background checks, limitation on magazine capacity, and a moratorium on bump stocks? And if you want one, you just have to register it. Let us know. If you're a gun collector or you're an armor, that works on a movie or something, you can own machine guns because you get a special license. Get a fucking special license then. If the vast majority of the people who own guns are legal gun owners and are totally cool about it and will never ever shoot another person in anger, then why the fuck do they mind all those measures? What's the fucking problem? And again, this whole thing like, I might need this because tyrannical government is going to come to me. Okay, first of all, they're going to fucking microwave your insides. They don't need to shoot you. Secondly, how long are you going to stay in the house before you have to drink out of the tap? You don't think they can put something in the tap that makes you go sleepy, sleepy, bye-bye? At a certain point, like, why does your paranoia stop? Right? Why does your paranoia stop at, I need a gun to get them? Like, all right, asshole. So they don't have the ability to... Lokiera's voting right now. Congratulations. Thank you. Happy birthday to me. Right? So, again, none of this matters to the question she's asking. Students on campus are worried about people that you can warn people about that are clearly having mental health issues. And by the way, they're not, mental health issues are not to blame for any of this shit. I would argue that most of the school shootings happen based on ego and immorality of the shooter, not because they're...
number of violent criminals. It'll make everybody safer, everybody more secure, and it'll actually give people public safety. And
Okay, that's him saying that most. Oh, did you lose me? What happened? Am I here? What happened? I'm not gone. I'm still here. Oh, is I buffering? Hey, am I back? Hello? Uh-oh. Let's see. We're frozen. Why are we frozen? What would be the freezing part? It's not on my end, so it's clearly something on the interwebs. There's YouTube. I went offline and then came back. Okay. Back. Yay. Okay, good. Yay. Just refresh your page, everybody. I don't know what that was. I mean, there's a giant storm in Florida and God knows where this bounces through.
I think that's the biggest way we can reduce violent crime in this country.
Yeah, we're not, asshole, that's not what she's asking about. At all. You fucking tit. She's not asking how we reduce violent crime. She's worried about bump stocks and high capacity magazines and any asshole who wants one getting an AR-15, even if they have a history of domestic violence or their family knows that they've been having homicidal ideation for a long time. That's what she's asking about. She's not worried about carjackings. That's a different question. You fucking tit.
Thank you. Next question.
Senator
You didn't answer that one. And, God, it's annoying.
Vance, Ken Coleman from MichiganAdvance.com. Detroit is 77% African American. The state is 14.
Like a bunch of people were ready to boo on that one. Detroit is 70% African American. Boo! Oh fuck.
Percent African American. Why should African American Michiganders vote for the Trump Vance ticket?
Well, you know, we've got a great number of Black Americans in this crowd right now.
By the way, if JD Vance sees a crowd and there's less than 8 people in the crowd that are black, that's a great number. 8 or less. It's a great number. Not a great number, but a great number.
They could probably answer that question better than I could, but
No, they can't. Ask her. Bring her up. Let her explain. It'll be adorable. Weird.
but
Wait. We froze again? I'm here. Hold on. Everybody refresh. Hold on. Clearly, I have to see if there's something going on with the restream right now. So, but it's pretty rock solid on that end. Oh, it's popping in and out. Something. It's going from fair to excellent back and forth. I don't know which channel it's having an issue with. You analytics. Look at my analytics real quick. Boy, oh boy. Real-time analytics. Bit rate's staying pretty high. There you go. There's the bit rate. There's the floor from before. It was one drop of something. Okay. Should be all right.
But without calling everybody up here, because I'm a politician, I don't like to share the microphone with anybody as much as I like them. What I think they would agree with is, number one, Donald Trump wants to bring back public safety and an economy that brings prosperity for everybody. Good way.
Right. Yeah. Black equals crime. That's what he's saying. Oh, Facebook says unable to connect. Facebook went away. Is that what happened? I'm gonna go. I'm gonna flip the switch and then do it again. Hopefully, we'll come back on Facebook. Everybody else seems to be streaming okay. I might have just said it could actually have been me triggering, because of how I was speaking, triggering the algorithm to kick me off. That happens. Yeah, still on Instagram, so I think. So we're okay. All right, here we go.
Wages for good jobs. That's the Trump promise, and I think that's a great promise to Black families in Michigan and to everybody else. Here's something else. I mean, there is this idea in the media, and I don't know where it came from, that somehow
I probably know.
Black Americans don't believe in public safety in this country. Well, we know whether
Yeah, that's not at all. That's not at all how anyone would frame
you're
it.
Democrat, Republican, or Independent, Black Americans do care about public safety in this.
Right? Yeah, they do. Mm-hmm. Do you think maybe their concerns might be that it is sometimes people use public safety as an excuse to, let's say, overreach in black communities, causing more harm than good? It might be the best way I can.
This country. They want to empower our law enforcement officers to do their job. Of course, do it respectfully and make sure we've got good relationships between police and community, but we
Right. That's why the Obama-Biden administration put together the COPS program, which would help to broom out cops like Derek Chauvin and make sure that police have an easier time building trust between the community, because they don't have, it's not near impossible to get rid of bad cops in their ranks. And what happened to that? Oh, right. Donald Trump killed it the same week he killed the pandemic response team. In 2 years, almost to the day, we had the riots and the pandemic hit. It's almost as if that was like the tallest rake he'd ever stepped on.
We can have a good relationship between police and the communities they serve while we lock up the violent criminals and keep everybody safe in the process. I think that's very possible.
Sure. Of course it's possible. The question is it probable without some sense of reform and attention to that? Or is your running mate running on a platform that we need quick trials for drug dealers because they all kill 500 people? You might as well think of it so a couple hours and if they turn out to be innocent later, that's what they get for wearing their pants low or wearing a stupid hat or some shit. Whatever made me think they were a drug dealer in the first place, and whatever the jury behind you, boo, hang them, whatever the fuck it was. And then after the quick trials, and then of course the imbalance in people who go to jail for certain crimes versus those who don't would also be at play in this.
And look, I mean, the story.
I'm starting to think that J.D. Vance might not be okay with a high school quarterback who's the star of the football team not going to jail for sexual assault when he does it, because they've got a game on Saturday. See what I mean?
The story of Black Americans, especially in the city of Detroit, is actually very similar to the story of Appalachian white Americans who came from West Virginia, Kentucky, Tennessee.
Yep, they're all their music sounds alike. They love using the N-word, and nobody likes reading. I think that's his argument.
We moved to places like Detroit, black and white together, because there were good jobs for people who were willing to work hard and play by the rules. And it wasn't always perfect, but for a generation in this country, people, black and white, worked together, raised their families, built things in this country, and created prosperity for the entire country. And if
Totally. We had economic integration, and the government had no part in that whatsoever. People just did it. People from Appalachia drove up here, just like Southern blacks, up to Detroit to get a good job and raise a nice family in cloud fucking cuckoo land.
That was the story, by the way, in the steel mill that my grandfather worked in for almost 40 years. You had black folks and white folks living together, working together, and they again, it wasn't always perfect, but
Let's say you give us an example of that imperfection. I think a lot of us are like, perfect is a rather high standard. So, since it's so high, anything fits below perfect, including, someone being rude occasionally, or misstating or mispronouncing someone's name on purpose, little things like that, or maybe burning a cross on their lawn.
But it worked. You know why it worked? Because
everybody was poor and starving and desperation makes people put up with a lot of shit that they wouldn't normally, but the second they get a fucking toehold, then they start, I don't know, compartmentalizing.
We had good jobs for people who were willing to work hard and play by the rules. The destruction of the manufacturing economy in the state of Michigan has been disastrous for Black Americans, and it's been disastrous for a lot of middle-class white Americans, too. We can make things in this country.
It's not, wasn't disastrous for lower income or lower class white. Oh, right, they don't exist. That's right. They start out that way when they're in, as soon as they leave Appalachia, they're middle class. I get it. Okay, cool. Yeah.
Again, we can build things in the United States of America again, and when we do, it's going to bring prosperity to Black and white alike.
Well, yeah, the thing is, it doesn't, though. It doesn't. That's the point. You have to actually do shit to make sure that it does. That's why opportunity economy, for example, it's got a thing. If you just don't, then what you have is the Peter Thiels of the world, for example, making sure that shit is compartmentalized. Also, by the way, a non-answer. We'll take one more because this is a great example of basically how he's just pussing out and like he's in this situation. He even, again, I don't know whether they know whether to boo or cheer until they cheer at the end of his answer because they assume he said something good. But during it, they're not even sure whether to boo or cheer based on the details he's giving because they don't know which side they're on of it.
Next question.
Is it on? Good afternoon, Senator Vance. My name is John Enot from Avante Moda Magazine, and I'm a member of the local independent media here in Detroit, so hopefully I'll get a little safer reception. I'm a native Detroiter.
That's so funny. No, they're gonna boo you too.
And I think Michiganders are really worried about a lot of things during this election cycle, and I think a couple that I hear all the time is they're very nervous about their First Amendment and their Second Amendment rights. So the question is, what will the Trump administration do to guarantee the people of Michigan that their rights will be protected? And what's your view on those amendments? And then also, to what extent...
What's your view on those amendments? Please say you're a First and Second Amendment absolutist.
Social media companies, if any, be able to moderate and control what people say online if it's legal?
Yeah.
Of course it's legal. They're private organizations. They don't have to post fucking stuff from Stormfront and neo-Nazis, nor should they. Do you think they should have to? Detroit independent press guy?
So let me try to answer that question
in three ways. One that doesn't make sense, one that doesn't pertain to your question, and one that will make these assholes cheer even if they don't know what I'm saying.
As completely as I can. Number one, I love the First and Second Amendments. There's a reason they're number one and number two is because they're the most important.
Well, they were at the time because we were still in a horse and buggy situation and the King of England was trying to kill everybody. They're also, the First Amendment is there to nullify half of the 10 Commandments right out of the gate. I'm just telling you. Oh, and the Second Amendment is there to nullify thou shalt not kill in absolute terms.
But, you know, you go back to the question the gentleman asked earlier about Black Americans and particularly what Black Michiganders have to gain from a Trump presidency. And if you look at the censorship and the vaccine mandates, the idea that you should be fired from your job for speaking your mind, that fell oftentimes hardest on Black Americans as much as anybody else because...
What? Why? Sorry, there's a huge Black anti-vax movement that was harmed?
It was often Black Americans who are going on and saying, well, wait a second. You know, why and again, this is everybody, but it was happening a lot in the Black community. Why are we forced to take this shot in order to earn a living and provide bread for our children? Why?
Well, largely so you can still be alive to provide bread for your children.
Why are we being silenced by some of the biggest corporations in the United States of America? I think that affects everybody, but your answer...
Sorry, how are you being silenced? Does this guy think that like most black Michiganders are like that weird lady who believes that demon semen is the reason we have COVID, who was part of Trump's medical team?
Question about technology companies. The biggest threat to the First Amendment in the United States of America is
Elon Musk. I agree.
Big technology companies who are trying to silence Americans for speaking their mind. And the Trump campaign and the Trump presidency, we've got no use for it.
We've got no use for it. Okay, first of all, no. Your First Amendment is not in danger from any social media company. They can allow you on their private site and you can make a living or post what you want. And if they decide they don't want you on there, you can fucking go. They don't owe you anything. They pay for the hard drive space. If you pay to be on there, you might have some kind of a recourse. But all of them that are free, you can fuck right off if you affect their bottom line. Right? Unless what J.D. Vance is arguing is that you should be able to walk onto anyone's private property and shout pro-Nazi slogans on private property that you do not own legally.
And you asked about the Second Amendment. Look, we believe in the Second Amendment. We believe that people
You believe in it?
ought to be able to keep their families and their children safe. And
I agree. They should be able to keep their children safe from those mean people that fired them for saying racist shit at work. And the only way they know to do that is to go into the place during peak work hours and fire into the crowd.
it's that simple. And
It's not simple. Especially when you're going to leave out the well-regulated militia part.
I think there is a big difference between the Kamala Harris campaign. Kamala Harris has explicitly endorsed gun confiscation. Donald Trump has explicitly endorsed the second.
First of all, Trump believes in gun confiscation before any kind of legal proceeding. Can't you just take the guns first and then go to court? He said it himself. Do you think that's going to fucking change? What do you think dictator on day one would do? You think you think Viktor Orban, all that shit where he's talking how awesome Viktor Orban is? Do you have any idea what the gun laws are like in fucking Hungary?
Second Amendment of the U.S. Constitution. I'd rather be on that.
By the way, because of, I think, the signal loss or whatever, we lost, some folks or whatever. So welcome them back. Share the show. Make sure people know we didn't go away and that this is live. It is the greatest live stream in the history of live streams. So it'd be nice if people knew that. Hit the like, give a thumbs up, support the show, etc., etc., etc.
That side.
Okay, it's going to be the same shit. My point in this chat was that he can't give a press conference of any length without backup from a crowd of maggots. It's super weird.